The National Football League has drawn a ton of criticism because Roger Goodell at times appears somewhat incompetent, and this could be the straw that will break the camel's back with a lot of fans. Now, we already talked about how Mark Cuban ripped the NFL product for being quote-unquote greedy and whatnot, and we somewhat agreed with it. Whether it's Thursday night games, wanting to... Actually, you know what? I'm not going to even show my hand. Here's what the NFL head of officiating, Sir Dean Blandino, told Dan Patrick on the DP show, Fine Radio show. They basically said that the Jimmy Graham rule is going to be in full effect. No, not about arbitration, but about dunking over the goalposts. Tony Gonzalez has retired. He is joining CBS, and he is going to be a solid voice, I truly believe, in studio. But they are going to limit guys. They've already limited a lot of celebrations and whatnot, but now they're going to limit guys dunking the ball over the goalposts. And by limit, I mean extinct. It's going to be gone. They're going to penalize Jimmy Graham and whoever decides to do it, dunking the ball over the goalposts, and they are going to possibly fine them and absolutely penalize them, potentially fine them. Why? What's so bad about it? Oh, but what about when Jimmy Graham did it in Atlanta, even though he was basically giving kudos and praise to Tony Gonzalez for doing it over the many years that Tony Gonzalez did it in Kansas City and Atlanta. Oh yeah, Jimmy Graham, come on man, he broke the goalposts. It took 3 minutes to fix. Calm the fuck down. They also are going to let the refs consult with the league office's command center during replay reviews. That's solid. But let's get into Roger Goodell a little bit and why exactly this is just dumb in every way possible, in every way of the word. This is a guy who penalizes players for not having the appropriate sock height. He has people involved in the NFL go around and look at what exactly a player is wearing, and then they're going to fine them later on. Sock height, people. Sock height. A few of the others, replacement referees. The lockout with the referees and how it absolutely ruined some of the best games that we saw in the NFL last year. Not only that, he has also not put a franchise in Los Angeles. Now, LA can take part of the blame. I totally understand that. But it's the number 2 market in the country. People were pissed when the Raiders left. They were pissed when the Rams left. Put a team in a market that, for me personally, they desperately need an NFL franchise because they consider USC and UCLA professional franchises when they're not. Partially goes on Los Angeles. The other part goes on Roger Goodell. Excessive celebration penalties. This is what we kind of loved about the NFL. We like seeing the creative ways that guys would celebrate. So the fact that they started limiting it with Chad Johnson / Ocho Cinco, I understand, the Sharpie was cool and whatnot. Joe Horn with the cell phone. I mean, I get it. You don't want to use props and whatnot, fine. And this is totally the old school way of thinking. The grandpa on his rocking chair talking to all of us young brethrens about back in my day, Barry Sanders used to just give the ball to the lad in zebra pants, and then he would go to the bench like he's been there all the time. Come on, man. It's 2014. Show the creative way that you can celebrate. I desperately want to see it. And I truly believe that was one of the worst things that Roger Goodell has ever done, among many others. Also, Keith Olbermann highlighted this brilliantly on Olbermann on ESPN. Here's what he said when Roger Goodell was discussing the term Redskins and how essentially they pulled the United States of America, and 20% said, just 20, so 80% were in favor of the term Redskins, still being the Washington Redskins nickname, 20%, saying no way. So if you think about it, okay, and Keith Olbermann highlighted this again. 20% of the United States was offended. That's 62 million people. Those are not just average people with average numbers. That's 62 million people that are against it. And also, one commenter who tweeted in at Keith Olbermann asked him, why doesn't Roger Goodell use the term Redskin when discussing Native Americans? If it's so accepted, why doesn't he use it? That's another harsh stance that I have on Roger Goodell, and you should too. And also, one of the worst things that I think he could do is increase the amount of games per year when he's already trying to say, well, what about player safety? We're trying to protect the quarterbacks, which is a little too much at times, and he's basically telling the players to go low instead of going high, and he's absolutely limiting defenses and trying to improve offenses, which, you know what, has some good turnaround and some good result because teams are scoring many more points. But aside from the quarterbacks and defenses, remember when he basically settled, he did settle with Players Association and all the former players and basically won with that settlement because the NFL basically had to take no blame at all with, concussions and whatnot. He wants to emphasize player safety, yet he wants to increase the amount of games from 16 to 18 games. He continues to have games on Thursday night when the players, many, including Jay Cutler, still a member of the Green Bay Packers, has basically said that it is tough to prepare your body from Sunday to Thursday on a short week. He also wants to increase the amount of playoff teams. That would increase the amount of playoff games. Why? Money. Where do you stand? Leave a thought in the comments section below.